Hi, in this video we're going to walk through the process that you're going to follow for your first rough draft of your discourse community analysis. Finishing the draft, a little bit of an orientation to Microsoft Teams, how you will use Microsoft Teams to conduct peer review. Here are the things that we'll cover in this video. First, a few comments about finishing up your rough draft. Second, a little bit of an orientation to Microsoft Teams. Third, how to upload your rough draft to Microsoft Teams. Fourth, the process that will follow for doing peer review. And last but not least, what timeline we'll be following and how the rough draft will be graded. So in terms of finishing up your rough draft of your discourse community analysis, it's due by the beginning of your seminar in week 4. And by due, we mean uploaded to Microsoft Teams. Now, more detail about that in the next few minutes. Preferably uploaded in Microsoft Word format because it provides a little bit more flexibility if you wish people doing peer review on your assignment to actually make modifications to it to indicate corrections. And last but not least, just something that is easy to forget about your instructions for this assignment. The assignment is written in memo format. And what we mean by that, we have a header block at the top of the format. So on this slide, I'm showing you the very top of the sample. And you don't need to have the word memo at the top because the format is memo format, but what is important is this thing that we call a header block. To, from, date, and RE, or you can say subject. Okay, that's what we mean by memo format. So the next thing we're going to do here is to provide you with a brief orientation to Microsoft Teams. First thing, there are 2 ways that you can access Microsoft Teams. The first way is that you simply use the link in the invite that you received by email. And the second way that you can always access Teams is from your Outlook program. And I've included a screenshot here. You'll notice to the left of the word Outlook is a little like phone pad grid. And if you click on that, it will give you a choice of different Outlook apps to choose from, and one of those is Teams. When you click on that, it will take you to the team that I have created for our class. On our class team, I have also uploaded a form that you will use to conduct the peer review. It's a fillable form, which means that if you download a copy of the form, it's something that you can type into. By the way, the form for peer review is also available for you on the course page. If you click on the Assignments and Resources folder and click on Discourse Community Analysis, you will see that one of the documents that's there for you is the form for peer review. Now back to Microsoft Teams. As I mentioned, we have a class team, and then within that class team, I have created small groups of 3 to 4 people per group by creating channels. And each of those channels is private, so the only people who can access each channel are the people who are designated to it. So you should only be able to access the channel for the group that you're in. The reason why we have created those small groups is to create a workspace in which you'll conduct peer review, and you're going to be doing peer review with that small group. Next, let's talk about uploading your rough draft to Teams. So the first thing that you are going to do is to take your rough draft and to rename it after yourself. So if your name is Jane Smith, that will become the name of your rough draft. And we're doing that so that anybody in your group who's going to do a peer review knows whose draft it is. Once you have renamed your rough draft after yourself, then you can upload it to your small group channel on the class team. Now let's talk about the peer review process. And by the way, once we have gone through these basic instructions, we're going to have a look at Microsoft Teams, and I'm going to walk you through the basic process by showing you Microsoft Teams on screen. So the first thing that you're going to do for the peer review process is to download the DCA peer review feedback form. And as I've already said, you can either download that from the class materials folder on Microsoft Teams, or you can download it right from the course page. Once you have downloaded that peer review feedback form, you're going to choose any 2 people in your small group. So your group will be 3 to 4 people. You're going to choose any 2 people in your small group, and you're going to provide feedback to those 2 people. How you'll do that, you're going to take that copy of the peer review form that you've downloaded, and you're going to rename it. So create 2 new copies of it, and each of those you're going to name after the person you're providing peer review for. So if you are providing peer review for Farah Muhammad, that's what you're going to name that person's peer review form. Once you've renamed it, then you're going to read their assignment and you're going to fill out the peer review form. As mentioned already, it's what's known as a fillable form, so that you can type your responses right into it, and the boxes in each case will expand as much as you need them to. Once you have completed both of the peer reviews that you have done, all you need to do is to upload those to the folder for your group. Once you've uploaded them, of course, your partners in your small group can see your comments on their assignment. One thing that you don't want to forget is to make sure that you're getting the benefit of the peer review yourself. In other words, make sure that you look over the peer review that you have received from other people. What we're going to do now is to walk through the process of uploading a rough draft and the basics towards providing that peer review. So I'm pulling up Microsoft Teams in front of us here. Let's imagine that this is your team for your class, and you can see here that there's a copy of that Discourse Community Analysis peer review sheet here in the folder. The other thing that we're noticing here is that on the left-hand side we see something called Channel A. And if that's the channel that you're seeing, that's the channel that is your own private group channel. So now we've clicked on that, and in a sense we're kind of in that small group space. You can see that within the channel you've got the capability down at the bottom here to text one another, and you can upload files to the channel as well. What we're going to do now is to pretend that we are uploading a sample rough draft. So here is my rough draft. I'm going to give it my name. And now I'm going to upload it to my group channel, which is very simple. Now that we can see, we've got our rough draft in the channel. So in terms of providing peer review, we need to go back to the class materials folder, and we can see that we've got that peer review sheet there. So in terms of going through the peer review and then uploading the peer review, the 2 peer reviews that you're going to complete, you will upload in the same manner that you use to record your own rough draft. Here's a little bit about the timeline and the grading. So as we mentioned already at the beginning of this video, you will be submitting your DCA rough draft to Teams by the beginning of your week 4 seminar. So that depends which day your seminar is and which time it is on that day, but that's your deadline. And then Your 2 peer reviews are due to Microsoft Teams within 2 days after your seminar. Now, in terms of the grading for the assignment, the rough draft is worth a total of 2%, and this is how you receive the 2% for the rough draft. You submit the rough draft on time on Microsoft Teams, in other words, at the beginning of your seminar. You complete 2 peer reviews and you submit them by the deadline. So that summarizes our video on the DCA rough draft. If you have any further questions, please don't hesitate to send a question by email. Thank you very much.